Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, Mr. Moohead, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking, about the Cleveland Browns failures, and I'm going to be making the argument why Kevin Stefanski not only should go, but is in the early stages of going. And joining me today on the program is Tony the Calf and my good buddy, Brian from Phoenix, and together we'll hold the fort down. There are some, I'm going to be sharing some screens today. Hello, Mr. Be Safe. Hello, Ron Leffman. Hello, Ron Shane. Nice to see you guys early into the program. I like to think that I have something to say, and I want to, in one respect, apologize for some of the salty language I used on the post-game show.
I don't know what the fuck you mean.
Exactly. But sometimes it's just mystifying the way all of this stuff goes down, and I don't understand it. But
hey, Big Lurker, you had a front row seat to the debacle.
Yeah, that's a good thing I did not. I had a stroke.
You dirty pull-up.
Yeah, exactly. People were commenting on the things that I said in the postgame show and laughing because they know Mr. Moohead, but still, it's a little bit, I don't know. I don't like to take low shots, but I do want to say this, that there aren't enough, really, there are a lot of programs and podcasts, but the things that most people are watching is all tempered and shaped by the ownership and management of the radio station, or excuse me, of the Browns organization, or the radio station that people work for, working in cahoots because they want to keep their good reputation with the Browns front office. I got to be honest with you. This program is not one of them, and I just want to see the Cleveland Browns win, and the things that I talk about are things that I recognize as signs of success or signs of failure. So you can just take it from there. I want to start by sharing a screen, and we're going to add this to the stage of Kevin Stefanski's post-game press conference. This was right after the game, and I want you to look at him and listen to what he's saying, and I'm going to stop it periodically to really ask some viable questions. Here we go.
All right, obviously extremely disappointed to not come away with a win there. We need to do a better job closing out, and that's an offensive thing, defense, special teams, coaches, players, you name it.
All right, so this is how he starts out, and this is how he's been starting out every press conference basically for the last two seasons, that it's unacceptable, but not just from the players, but him and his mother and his children and any future offspring that he has. And so right off the bat, he wants to get that off of the table that, yes, he is to blame. We'll go on.
We got to come away and be at our best in those moments, and we were not. And that's the disappointing, frustrating part for me. But we'll keep grinding. We'll get back and get back to work. And that's what we got to do. Take that. Any questions?
All right. So his answer is to keep grinding. All right. Now, what I would tell you is this. I remember when I first started doing podcasting, and it wasn't today like today, where there's software and available online studios like I use today. It's a piece of cake now. I mean, quite honestly, any moron can do a podcast. All right. That's why we have so many of them, because every moron does do a podcast. But when I started back in 2001, 2002, there wasn't anything that really allowed people to, there wasn't enough bandwidth for one thing. And so I had a desk full of actual broadcast radio equipment that I reappropriated to try to create a methodology to do live broadcasts, and it worked. And that was, but sometimes it was overwhelming. Sometimes it just wouldn't work. And I had drawn schematics of what connected to what wires went to what, and it was still not work. And I would be pulling my hair out. And you know what I did? I walked out to the hot tub and I just immersed myself in warm water. And I said, I'm just going to kind of relax and see if any clarification comes to me. And we're bringing Hammer Time in.
Our hot tub is a time machine?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. For me, it was just a way of taking my mind off something that I was really overwhelming myself with. Kevin Stefanski is one of these, if the nail isn't in right, you don't take it out and maybe use a different nail or a different hammer. You just keep using the same hammer and to keep using the same nail, and you keep driving it in over and over again. And that's a sign of frustration. It's also a sign of what I call an emotional and mental dead end, that you've tried everything that you know, and you're just not able to see your way out of the box that you're in. And as we watch the rest of this post-game press conference, remember this thought: the idea that he just doesn't have an answer. Not that Kevin Stefanski's a bad guy. I don't know Kevin Stefanski. Sometimes he comes off as a little smug to me. Sometimes he's a little bit too fucking happy when he goes through his post-game speeches and the one or two games they win during the course of a season. And it seems almost self-indulgent to me. But on the other hand, I don't know the man. So I'm just going to play this, and you can decide for yourselves whether you agree or disagree with what I'm saying.
Kevin, can you just talk about just the sort of the offensive drought once you got to the fourth quarter of your dream?
Yeah, just felt a little, didn't get into very many advantageous down and distances. Ended up in too many third and longs. There were penalties. We just have to be better, have to score some points.
All right. Now, that's the first question. It's like, what went wrong on that last drive? And it said during the whole game, it was penalties, and it was, but this has been the case for years. Myles Garrett has been jumping off sides for years. The players are not being held accountable for doing this shit. And whatever it is that they are trying to drive into the players is either not working or the players are rejecting it.
Well, I will correct that a little bit. The third string tackle that was pulled after two straight penalties and replaced by the other bad tackle, that did happen. So there's accountability if you're at least a third string, fourth string, fresh off the practice squad. Then you're held accountable. But if you're a first string starter, no.
Everybody could understand why the line would be taking a hit when you're playing guys like Leviston. I think everybody would understand that. But what's most mystifying is when players who just clearly know better do incredibly stupid things at the most inopportune times. And basically his excuse that he's using, that we just weren't in an advantageous field position, or that there were too many third and longs, or that, we couldn't get the necessary yardage on running plays. It all comes down to a number of things, and we're going to start talking about this once we get through a little more of this.
Anything differently on the next to last drive? We ran 3 plays in 11 seconds.
Yeah, we ran it twice. They called their timeouts. Felt decent about the pass. Obviously got an incomplete there. To answer your question, Tony, whenever you don't come through in a drive, you always think about doing something different. Yes.
Well, the play that he's referring to in the pass play, I've watched over and over again. And
That's the sailing over the tight end's head.
yeah, but it didn't really sail over the tight end's head. It was about 7 yards beyond where he was. And Dylan Gabriel stood there and stared like, what are you doing? So my guess is that the receiver ran the wrong pattern, and Dylan Gabriel threw the ball in the neighborhood where he was supposed to be. And so that, on the most important play of the game for the Cleveland Browns, was just another miscommunication. Watch the play over again. You'll see what I mean. And immediately the camera goes right over to Dylan Gabriel, and he's just like frozen, staring at a spot where he threw the ball like, dude, you were supposed to be there. All right, we'll continue on.
Is that a throwaway on third down? Something's not there, or is he trying to?
Yeah, I got to see it. I'm not sure.
And was there any thought of using the fullback Huntington on that drive to open some holes?
We're always talking about different personnel groups.
All right. He's always talking about them, but he decides them. So let's be clear about the discussions that go on or before the game. Anything that happens in the game is his decision. And if you have a different idea, then you end up like Ken Dorsey did, which is in another city doing something else. All right. And Big Lurker is bringing up some points too. And I noticed this during the game and mentioned it in my foul post-game show yesterday. The lack of communication from sidelines to players was a huge factor. Must have counted at least 10 instances where players and coaches were shouting at each other with regards to the subs while the play clock was ticking. And I pointed this out on the program yesterday, the first play of the game, there were players who were confused whether they were coming out on the field, whether they were part of what was going to be going on out there, or things are not being communicated well. There's no question. And yes, a lot of confusion, and if that's the kind of detail we're working with, it's no wonder that Leviston doesn't know who he's supposed to block or all of that good stuff. We'll continue with Kevy.
How would you assess Dylan Gabriel's first start, his performance overall?
Yeah, again, probably premature to grade it and those type of things. There were some good things, some rookie things to certainly clean up.
All right. So that is right after the game. This is what he thinks of Dylan Gabriel. A guy who had less than 2 days to prepare for an overseas trip where he's going to be starting for the first time in his life in an offense that he hasn't practiced with the first unit more than twice. And what Kevin just said was, well, a lot of rookie stuff that needs to be cleaned up. You know what that's like? That's like going to a first-time whore and expecting a perfect blowjob. It doesn't work that way. I mean, whatever happened to the idea and the concept of assisting a player emotionally, of support, of pointing out some of the good things that he did? Like, for example, he didn't turn the ball over multiple times like the 40-year-old guy does. And that he kept his composure in the pass rush and actually stepped up into the pocket and managed to avoid several sacks. Point out some things that are just basic. And nobody could have expected Dylan Gabriel, who I think most people believe a third-round pick, who's had been a college player for 6 years, that realistically he's a backup quarterback. I don't think anybody had him in the draft as a guy who was going to become your full-time starter. So,
No, one guy had him in the draft. One guy, the coach.
Yeah, I guess. What I do know is this, that Dylan Gabriel looked so much more poised than DTR did when he had his chance, or all the other crazy guys who were coming from playing football in the indoor league in Birmingham or whatever, he had a lot more composure and presence than those others did. And he did not throw the game away, and he didn't commit the stupid mistakes that other players around the NFL this past week committed, including a guy who finished off a 71-yard touchdown run by dropping the ball 70 yards after he started running. So you have that. But this is, again, do we have positive reinforcement with the Browns? No, because this is the real Kevin you're seeing. This is Kevin right after the game, right after this thing has hit him broadside in the ass. And this is his first reaction. And his first reaction is, we all got to work harder. Oh, we've all got to do this, and it's all on us together as a group. No, it's not. Because if players are not clear on what their responsibilities are, then that's on the coach. If people are not sure whether they're coming into the game, if they're running wrong patterns on critical plays, and if the quarterback and the wide receivers are not communicating, it's all on two people: the offensive coordinator and the head coach, which are the same person here. And this is the guy who's speaking right now. So again, I don't mean to just piss on the guy. That's not the point. It's just
I don't mind.
Yeah, it's what I'm hearing. Let's keep going.
Late in the second quarter, you guys were in the red zone.
Yeah.
We didn't see Quinton Junkins out there during that time. Is that, as a rookie, you trust Jerome Ford a little bit more in that role, or something else as he kind of carried your offense?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, we certainly trust Jerome in some of those moments, and as well as we do Q. You know, always mindful of the load that you have Q going.
All right. Judkins did not play in the second quarter. All right. And nobody can figure out why. And I think it's because he did too fucking good. I don't know what the explanation is, but Jerome Ford is suddenly in the game. And my feeling was at the time that maybe they wanted to try to pass the ball more, and they felt that Jerome Ford gave better quarterback protection than Judkins, which may be the case. But again, this explanation is vague at best. There are certain things we like about Jerome Ford. He had one 11-yard run, and that was the only thing I saw that he did that was at all effective in the game. Judkins, on the other hand, carried the offense. Next.
Yeah, maybe Ford is the one dropping the soap too much in the shower with around Stefanski.
Anything's possible. We're going to continue on.
Consistently, time and time again, like you said, it was offense, defense, special teams.
Oh, this is a Mary Kay question.
Yeah, just disappointed for the team, Mary Kay. We expect our guys to go do their job. Again, all of us collectively, players, coaches.
There's that again.
And we just didn't come through in that moment.
When was the last time you came through? All right. And I started looking up the record of Kevin Stefanski. And let's be real about this. In 2020, he was 11-5, and he was the boy wonder. All right. In 2021, it went down to 8-9, and then it went down to 7-10. Then there was the Joe Flacco miracle year of 11-6. Last year, 3-14, and now 1-4. That's 4-18, and now 4-19 in the last two seasons. All right. That's the way it is. So I guess that the ideas that propelled this team to its best years were not the same thing, because 2020 was a year that we had Nick Chubb, we had a really prolific running game, and we had a young quarterback who would end up being sent away because he wanted to compete and not just be robotic about the game. And Baker
Mayfield
through
being really hurt.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield was better. And I want to clarify my position on Baker Mayfield. I don't think that Baker Mayfield is a great god of quarterbacking, and I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback at all. And he's off to a great start this year.
Fuck, he's
We'll see.
MVP caliber this year.
That's right, but so far. And playoffs have eluded him, and we'll see. But he's better than anything we've had since, okay?
Well, but the one
He's
thing
got more
that
playoffs wins since he left, though.
the one thing that Baker's got that we've harped on for fucking ever, and it's all these fucking quarterbacks that are having Sam Darnold. They've got receivers.
Yeah.
I mean that Ibuka is a fucking stud. And if you're gonna have Dylan Gabriel throw to fucking Judge Judy or whatever his fucking name is, I mean, what do you expect a kid to fucking do when he's throwing to tackling dummies who can't catch?
And you've done really well on this, Tony, because we're going to get to that too, because it's not just one thing. I mean, you're wondering why you can't get that important pass completion on that third down. And the answer is you don't have wide receivers to get separation. Now, I am again, we're thinking alike, Tony, and that's kind of scary for me. Okay. But listen to this. In 2020, a more successful year, not only did we have Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb, we had Odell Beckham Jr., we had Jarvis Landry, and we had Austin Hooper and Harrison Bryant as tight ends. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say, that Stefanski literally drove Jarvis Landry into early retirement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the bumps and bruises and all that. Then you go to 2021 when things suddenly went to 8 and 9. And now you've got a first-year David Njoku who really didn't come into his own. You had, again, Austin Hooper, who was 1 year slower and older. Donovan Peoples-Jones and the oft-injured Jarvis Landry.
The famous Donovan Peoples-Jones.
And Jonathan Peoples-Jones could not end up doing anything with any other team in the league. All right. Then you go to 2022, where it was 7 and 10. And you had the second year of David Njoku, still Harrison Bryant, who hasn't been able to do anything with any other team in the league. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who would be sent away to the Detroit Lions, where he would disappear in infamy forever. And one more year of Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper basically had his best year in 2022. 2023 in the miracle year of 11 and 6 with Joe Flacco. It was still Njoku, but by then he had become a much more prolific pass catcher. Harrison Bryant, who again would go away to somewhere in Boise, Idaho. Elijah Moore, who was not the prophet, except the prophet of doom, because he never amounted to anything anywhere. And then Amari Cooper at the very tail end of his career. And he tried to hang around with another team for a year after that. He called it quits. All right. And now we sit at 3 and 14 in 2024 with Njoku, Jordan Akins, and I'm like, huh? And Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy. Now, this can't surprise anybody what the problem is when you need that particular completion when it's most needed, and when the head coach runs the ball up the gut 2 successive times and gets stuffed. Now he has to pass. The defense all knows he's going to pass, and they are easily covering lousy receivers. If they really wanted to win that football game, they'd have passed on first down, and they would have opened up and tried to get 8-9 yards out of a pass pattern, and then you could hammer it away. And then once again, you got to kind of be unpredictable. But Kevin Stefanski is utterly predictable. And if these guys can't get open just on a given play, they're certainly not going to be able to do it on the big play. And you saw when the play came down that the guy ran the wrong pattern, that Dylan Gabriel threw it to the wrong spot, whatever the case was, but everyone in the building knew and nobody was open. All right, let's continue with Kevy.
Yeah, we'd have to talk through it first.
Kevin, were you using your timeouts at the end to give your defense rest?
Yeah, to potentially, if they score there, if they kick a field goal there, just to give you time on the other side.
Now, he had an opportunity to make sure they didn't that they would kick a field goal and get the game into overtime. And he passed it up, and he gave them all the time they needed to get the ball down the field. All right. So again, what he's saying doesn't jive as far as what I was watching on the television screen. None of it jives. Let's continue.
Did you guys feel you went into the game hoping to really exploit Carson Wentz's turnover? Were you disappointed that you weren't able to do more from that?
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 takeaways. Certainly, I know there's a bunch of things that we feel like we can do better, Mary Kay.
Now, yeah, this is all he talked about. We got to get turnovers. We got to get turnovers. They won the turnover battle, and they still lost the game. So it's such nonsense. It's making plays when you have to make plays, and you have plays in the playbook that are necessary. And I'll give you a great example. And Tony, even though he's pissed off at the Vikings, the bottom line is that when they ran a quick snap to a running back and caught the Browns with their pants around their ankles, that's just the moment that O'Connell was waiting for. And that guaranteed them that one big play that they needed. We didn't need a big play like that. We just needed to move the chains. You got to have plays in your playbook that you have such faith in, and you go over with the players knowing that times are going to come up in the season where you're going to use those plays. We don't seem to have them, because that play that ran, that can't be the best play in the playbook. God only knows. I hope not. Let's move on.
Kevin, that last third down in 3 minutes or so, did you consider running just to make them easier last time out, or did you think that you had on there?
Yeah, I mean, you factor all those things in, Zach. On all downs, you consider what to do there, but ultimately, we expect. Listen, we got to come through bottom line in that down and distance, or in that situation, those sets of sticks, and we did not.
You have to, but how if you don't give the tools to the people to do it? It just doesn't come down like manna from the heavens. This is something that you have to work toward. And all these years that he's been here and running his silly 3 tight end offense, you'd think that he would have some misdirection play on first down, something, because, they knew we were going to run the ball up the gut because he's Kevin Stefanski. That's what he'll do. You take somebody by surprise. Even O'Connell knew to do that. And it wasn't like they were an offensive juggernaut during the game, but he slid in the beginning of the game, a lot of misdirections and things that made the Browns defense bite and overcommit. Kevin,
yeah, the opening or the first touchdown pass of the game was David Akers throwing a halfback option pass.
That's right. So, I mean, there you have it. But Kevin doesn't have nothing like that.
About penalties being an issue, 10 penalties today, over 70 yards. Is there anything that you could point to, Cam Robinson coming in, the travel over here? Is there anything specifically you think?
No. We have to be cleaner. I didn't get a look at some of the post-snap ones, and they were costly. There were some plays, those were yards that came back.
Was that always part of your plan to put the
So the penalties that have been crushing us ever since this guy has been a head coach, that he's never been able to eradicate the issues. I'm bringing David Talevsky into the studio as well. Hi, David.
Comment about that quote right there.
What is it, Tony?
Can I make a comment about that question right there?
I'm sorry, you're kind of fuzzy. Say again.
Can you hear me any better?
Yeah.
what kind of fucking media question is that? The Vikings have been overseas for 2 weeks, and you're gonna say, "Oh, it's the," or ask a question if they think the travel caused any of the mistakes.
The mistakes are
least
made for the time that we go to camp. The mistakes are
Mhm.
being made every year. Um, and Jim Giles is absolutely right. They were running the ball at will when they were putting their tight ends in motion, then had them crack back and block. Not one of those plays were ran on the next to last possession. It's just incredible that you know, it was almost like you were trying to get half a yard on a sneak. They weren't, there is no sophistication to the play calls. And I agree with Jim 100%. Back to Kevy.
Yes. Yeah, well, we'll get him up to speed.
That was Cam Robinson. We'll get him up to speed. Well, then why was he in the fucking game to begin with? If he wasn't
Because
up to speed. I mean, what is the story here? I mean, yeah, we'll get him up to speed. If he's not up to speed, he shouldn't be playing. Next.
Jefferson, typical game, you've seen that kind of game from him before?
Justin Jefferson,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
great player. We, you know how talented he is, but we feel like we have to do a better job.
How about, what can you say about Carson Wentz? Where did came through for them?
Yeah, obviously, you give credit to the Vikings, give credit where credit is due. They won the game. We are disappointed that we didn't do the things necessary to win that game, but you got to give them credit.
You dummy, you gave away the game.
Yeah, he just won't admit, and you know how it goes. Carson came and Carson went. He was exactly what we expected him to be. And we let him.
Actually, he was better than I expected him to be.
No, he's capable. He's capable if you're not sacking him and if you're allowing him to throw high percentage passes. If he's holding on to the ball, then he's dead meat. But he was getting rid of the ball quickly, and he was finding his receivers, and the receivers were making some good catches on balls that were not the best thrown. So that's the, and then it's just the bullshit at the end. That is the basic press conference. Now, the reason I went to this extreme, which I normally wouldn't, is that then he comes back today, okay? And I think I better let's see what I.
He needs the spinning wheel of excuses behind him at these press conferences.
Yeah, it's
what am I gonna use today?
Here's Kevin Stefanski's explanations today compared to the real Kevin Stefanski in the moment of defeat. All right. The Browns, with a 3-point lead and 3:27 left, took possession at their own 41-yard line. They had a chance to run down the clock, especially if they gained a first down, while Minnesota used their 3 timeouts. Here's what Kevy said. You get into 4-minute drives. The goal there is to stay on the field, get first downs, make the clock roll, and finish the game with the ball. Well, instead, 3 and out with 3:05 left in the game. So how does that happen? Stefanski then says there are different philosophies to how teams approach those situations and how much risk they want to take. The Browns opted to run the ball twice before throwing on third down, allowing the Vikings to retain one of their timeouts. His biggest frustration was the first 2 plays of the drive, runs by Judkins that lost a yard and went for no gain. And here's what he said today. Frustrating to not gain yards on that first and second down call, and then frustrated, obviously, to come away with an incompletion on third down. You called all the plays.
The fucking defense was geared up to stop the run.
And right where you ran it.
Out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have one misdirection that you have in your entire playbook, and they think, well, they're just going to bury themselves into the line because it's Kevin Stefanski, and you just get out to the outside, you get 8 yards, that changes the complexion of everything. Because once you show somebody you have the testicles to do something like that, they're not going to take you for granted. But with Stefanski, they all know what the methodology is. And if his biggest frustration was the first 2 plays of the drive that were totally non-creative calls that put them in an impossible situation with a rookie quarterback, it's time for him to leave. It's time for him to be done. He's done everything he knows how to do, and he's just not succeeded. And then there's the game-winning drive. We all know 80 yards on 10 plays. The 12-yard pass to Jordan Addison that went over Denzel Ward into the guy's hands. Give them credit, but we had a couple mistakes there, and guys played really, really, really well, and then kind of had one lapse there toward the end, and it cost us in that drive, which is disappointing. Stefanski started using his 3 timeouts after a 21-yard throw from Wentz to wide receiver Justin Jefferson moved the Vikes into field goal range at the 27. Stefanski waited until there was 1 minute and 10 seconds on the clock to use his first timeout. Now, why would you do that? If you decided you were going to use the timeouts, then why would you let 20 seconds go off the clock? So he waits until 1 minute and 10 are left, allowing nearly 20 seconds to run off. Here's what he says today. Obviously, anything in those scenarios, I want to make sure I'm putting the team in a good spot. If there's things that we can improve, we will. When? Obviously, now I sound like William Shatner. Shatner's like, when will it happen? You know, it's like,
damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not an offensive coordinator.
Blasted. You pointy-eared hobgoblin. Yeah, I'm totally miffed about this. You know, obviously the mentality was try to keep some time on the other side of it. We can definitely be better there. No, you can't, because you do this stupid shit all the time.
He should have told Jim Schwartz to go total Ole defense and let them score fast so that you could get the ball back and try and do something with timeouts on the other side, because they needed to save at least one in that final possession and they didn't have it.
Now, keep in your mind the fact that he allowed the 20 seconds to run off, all right? You know, but when he was asked directly if he considered not using his timeouts and forcing the Vikings, who had 1 timeout left, to rush, Stefanski remained vague in his answer. You think about all those things to those moments. Obviously, it didn't work out for us how we wanted it to work out, both in the results of the game and the drive itself and in life in general, and for the city of Cleveland year after year, he said. So you're always thinking about different ways you can do it, but we always pick the worst way. I mean, what is silliness?
The more I hear Stefanski talk, the more I can definitely see that he worked with Pat Shermer. He sounds a lot like him.
Well, the other thing that I have up here, and I'm not going to have time to play it, but it was a video of Brian Daboll.
Oh,
and
boy.
Yeah, and another name and blast from the past for the Browns, another incompetent offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, who for some reason never understood how to throw and set up a screen pass. Brian Daboll ruined the Browns offense back when. Now he's head coach of the Giants, and the Giants are, of course, losing. But the funny thing about talking with him after the game, the first thing he said after losing, well, our guys battled. And I just said, you know, they're all peas from the same pod. It's just mind-numbing. Now, the final series, and that's why I'm telling you to keep the 20 seconds in your head. The Browns did have one last opportunity after Dillon Gabriel completed a 22-yard pass to Isaiah Bond to the Vikings 49 and spiked the ball to stop the clock with 8 seconds left. A timeout called by Minnesota then negated the first failed Hail Mary attempt by the Browns. The Browns then threw underneath to Jamari Thrash, who was unable to get out of bounds. Clock ran out. Here's what Stefanski says. Figuring you like your chances throwing the ball in the end zone from the 25 better than you do from the 50, Stefanski said, good play by them. Felt like we had a decent chance of executing there, but you got to say good play by them. Now, I got to call it bad calls by you, Kevin. Those 20 seconds, this would not have been an issue if you'd have called the fucking timeout when you were supposed to. That's the bottom line. If you put 20 more seconds on that clock when there were 8 seconds left or 7 seconds left at the end of the game, you'd have 27 seconds. All right. Then you would have been able to complete the ball to Jamari Thrash, get to the 25, and try to get into the end zone if you wanted to do it that way. But the way the Browns ended up doing it, they didn't even get a Hail Mary pass. They never gave themselves, and Kevin never gave his team a chance to even get lucky.
Well, and when they did, the Vikings coach called timeout.
Yeah.
And then he didn't, after the interception, he didn't want the timeout anymore.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they didn't even try to throw a second Hail Mary. Why would you throw the ball to Jamari Thrash running across the field like that? Why?
They were hoping to get him out of bounds with 1 second left.
Oh, come on. I mean, that is the most ignorant thing.
That was the thinking. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't do it.
That's not
that's
thinking.
The Kevin Stefanski mentality.
That's not
you can
thinking.
tell he was trying to get about the 2 seconds left or whatever.
Yeah, but that's still not thinking. It is easier to
now, if they would have done a hook and ladder with Judkins off of that play, maybe that would have worked.
Or Isaiah Bond, the fastest guy on the team. But that would be thinking too much for Kevin. But the bottom line is this. A 50-yard Hail Mary pass has a better chance of working than a 25-yard Hail Mary pass because the field is compacted with the same number of players. He's got to get the shit out of his head because he's an idiot. You're better off just that last play, just throwing it up for grabs again. You never know. It happened for Tim Couch in the first year that the Browns came back in New Orleans. It can happen. But he never gave his team a play or a chance to get lucky. And that is everything I can say about Kevin Stefanski. He is not a winner. He's never been a winner. And he's playing with an organization that ain't a winner. So, does it matter who the head coach is? Well, I at least would want a coach who gives his players a chance. And with that said, you can't tell me the locker room's not poisoned asking the same damn questions that I'm asking. You can't tell me that. That's just the whole analysis of the whole thing. And meanwhile, then, of course, the same thing. They had just 5 completions to wide receivers on Sunday, and 2 of them came on the desperation drive. And then Stefanski said,
there were at least 3 of those that were dropped.
Yeah, but we obviously believe in our guys, Stefanski said, and we have to find a way to be more explosive. It's play design. It's that the guys aren't running the patterns well, and that it's play design. People are not open. They weren't open last year. And, in the year that Flacco had that great year in 2023, he was squeezing balls into narrow areas that you knew would never happen again. It was a fucking miracle. But, you knew it wasn't going to continue, and it didn't.
They had Amari Cooper running past the safety help.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of circumstances where balls were fitted in and just a lot of momentum. But you can't live off that. You live off of play design and getting people open. And you have wide receivers who are either too slow or don't catch the ball well. And Jerry Jeudy is a guy who doesn't catch well.
I think they're also drawing shitty route patterns. That's probably my assumption.
Or they're running bad patterns. They're not good pattern runners. But in all of these things that you see, the the drone view after the play from the behind the quarterback, and you see what's down the field and what the quarterback's looking at, there's nobody open. I mean, it's not like, oh, he just missed him because he's a rookie quarterback. There's nobody open. And I'm going to be honest, Dylan Gabriel does not have a cannon for an arm. I mean, he's short like Baker. Baker has a much stronger arm than Dylan Gabriel has. And the upside of Dylan Gabriel, quite frankly, is Case Keenum. He's going to be a guy who is a ball control guy. And that's who Kevin Stefanski is. And that's why we had to keep putting up with the Jacoby Brissetts and all the people.
I think he's a little more mobile than Case Keenum, though.
Oh, yeah. Because we got Case Keenum when he was older, and Case Keenum was not as good or quick. But the bottom line is they both don't have strong arms, and so everything's going to have to be within that compacted 15 to 18-yard period, yardage between, the line of scrimmage and 15 to 18 yards out. And you're compacting so many people. And even with Flacco during his good year, you had to respect the strength of his arm. But right now, there's nothing to respect whatsoever. And Stefanski even commented on Jerry Jeudy, saying, Jerry continues to be our best wide receiver. And I'll cut him off at that. That says it all. If he's your best wide receiver, he has lousy hands. He doesn't even use his hands. He traps the ball. He's Willis Adams, like 50 fucking years later. It's like watching a history of people. I mean, did you see Ozzie Newsome trapping the ball in his chest?
Not very often.
Did you see Josh Gordon doing that? No, he's catching the ball with his hands and going up. Who is the last Cleveland wide receiver Amari Cooper would be the guy who would have glue on his hands. Jarvis Landry was a guy who had glue on his hands. That's the last time we've seen professional wide receivers in this town.
They're predicting that this might be the week Jeudy blows up.
Well,
he just has a total meltdown.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a reason why I call him the malcontent.
Yeah, and Bronk is saying the same thing in the chat. That is precisely what we're waiting for. And Jerry Jeudy is not a good receiver. He may be a good route runner, but he's not a good finish the catch kind of guy. And we know that. We've seen it for the two teams he's played for. And as far as, Judkins is concerned, here's what he said. He's a tough out. He's kind of showing us and everybody the type of player he is, kind of. Have to remember that he got here late and has continued to get better each and every game. That's why you got to give him the fucking ball. Because if he's this good now, and if you continue to down talk him by saying, well, he's kind of showing us the type of player he is, it's like, fuck you, man. It's like, he's the guy who is the best running back in the room, and he hasn't practiced at all.
And didn't have any training. He didn't. I think he had OTAs, and then everything went bad. So he had no training camp, no preseason, no first 2 or 3 weeks of the season.
Right.
So, and he's basically doing this on sheer instinct.
Yeah. Let me throw this up here just because I can.
Unless we forget that they got rid of Stump Mitchell, who was a really good running backs coach.
Right. And things have gone downhill since then. No, and I never knew why that happened either. Now we're going to add.
I think that was Jimmy.
Yeah. We've got enough problems with Kevin. With Jimmy, we have permanent problems. Now we bring in Brian Daboll.
Credit the Saints. Hard to win when you turn the ball over 5 times, and there was 5 consecutive drives. Missed a couple opportunities offensively, a flea flicker and a post, which I thought could have changed it after the start of the game. Defensively, we did a good job in the run game. Gave up that big play to 22, which was was a huge play for us. So we can't have those things. Too many DPI penalties. Again, 5 turnovers to 0. You're not going to win. You're not going to win this league.
To be fair, Brian DeBallis Wonder only cares about the offense. So whatever the defense fails to do, that's not my responsibility.
Yeah, and here we go. Brian Dayball. I'm just going to play him until he says the magical words.
A little underthrown or not thrown quickly enough, or
yeah,
Slade had that. It was hard to tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. I thought we got by him there. Take a look at how it looks, but thought we had a chance.
4th and 1, next play, why not go for it and do that aggressive on 3rd down?
Yeah, again, that was the decision that we made, not to go for it there. We went on a number of 4th downs, and we were going to try to pin them down there on that one.
You didn't go for 2, I believe, in the first half. You were on their side. Then you went for the 1 early in the second half. What's your thought process behind that?
Yeah, again, we
flip the coin.
Our guys that I lean on, 4th down wise, that we communicate and talk about, and every decision I make, I think that's the best decision after talking to the guys that I lean on, and then ultimately it's my decision.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of Jackson?
I thought he battled. The game got away from us from him.
He battled. He battled. Oh my God. I just can't. Let's get him off the screen. Fuck him.
I can't wait till Jackson Dart gets that asshole fired.
Yeah. It's again, we have Jimmy Haslam to deal with, and for another day. Kevin Stefanski, in my mind, the worm turned, and we're going to add the Moose is coming in. Yes, Mr. Moose.
Oh, I just want to hear the Peter Alice play of the game. Thought I'd request that.
Oh, Kevin Stefanski. Oh, keep the clock moving, you stupid fuck. Oh, what could possibly drive you except you're self-imploding because your time in Cleveland is done. I mean, and that's really what it amounts to. You can always tell when they start committing suicide.
Yeah,
and
self-destructive coaches, absolutely.
And I've seen this with employees who worked for me, and it was like,
they fired themselves.
Yeah, they terminated themselves. Exactly right.
Themselves. Yeah, I've seen it too. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's and then Terry Pluto says Browns do it again. They mess up a good story. No, you messed up a good story, Terry. Go whack off somewhere.
Sticky. You got the story all sticky.
God.
Oh, God.
And then this headline. Browns quarterback Dylan Gabriel has a solid debut, but needs more from his receivers like Joe Flacco did. They're the same receivers.
Correct. They're all
running the same patterns, the same plays.
Who put that? Mary
The
Kay
same
Cabot?
head coach calling the goddamn.
Yes, Mary Kay Cabbagehead. Correct.
And then you got Joe Banner on Twitter saying, "Oh, the coaches let the Browns players down."
You've invoked my name.
Oh, no, not Joe Banner.
I'm right.
You know what I'm going to do here?
You need to go full screen on you.
That's exactly what I was. Thank you.
Yeah, you need the full screen, Joe.
Something smells in here.
Look under the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy. There's probably crap from last year under there.
You know something? I got to be honest with you. I'll always blame that coach.
Yeah.
I'll blame the organization. I'm bitter.
Wow.
I mean, I purposely didn't use that quote because who in the hell is he anyway?
Exactly. I think the BCOD needs to be waved about again. Just random BCODing.
But if I direct it toward Kevin Stefanski, not to terminate his life, but no.
Just the organization is all. I mean,
oh my God, the building's on fire! He killed all the custodians at 1:00 in the morning who were cleaning the building. We don't need that.
Kevin Stefanski would become the Dogbert fire meme. It's fine. Everything is fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A meteorite would hit Berea if we waved the BCOD.
And then this. Browns Denzel Ward. I take full accountability for the game-winning TD catch and the loss to the Vikings. Well, of course you do. Because you're not going to lose your job.
He got stuffed on that play.
Well, I mean, but you know what the truth is? The truth is we'll never know if the offense would ever pick the defense up this year. I mean, could you imagine if they made and ran the clock down and out and by getting 2 first downs and just ended the game? The defense would breathe a sigh of relief and they'd say, "We'll have your back next time." But the offense, the offense will never.
Oh, it's crazy.
They never do their part, and so the defense just let down.
I posted. I put a stat in the chat saying the Browns and the Tennessee Titans have both only scored 73 points in 5 games, and there's 2 teams tonight that have only played 4 games that have scored more than 73 points already.
Right. That's right.
So it's such patheticness, if that's a word. It's
the Cowboys
patheticity.
2 games.
Yeah, patheticness.
The Cowboys managed to do that in 2 games. They scored 37 and then one with a 40-point.
But I am here. I'm in a good mood. Ipswich beat Norwich City, so I'm in a great mood. The Ravens fans, how are they doing? How are the Bengals fans doing? We all suck. Everybody.
Man,
sucks.
I'll tell you, a Browning was Brownsing.
Oh man. He was Kevin Flacco. I mean, we could trade Flacco to the Bengals and maybe get a piece that could play on our team. I mean,
God,
I think we should do that.
That quarterback was terrible, man. I mean, and the look on his face was like, I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be. He's like Topaz. Get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
Hey, Brian, Panthers won, huh?
Yeah,
they did.
Won, man. Panthers
came back
won.
from 17 down to win.
Yeah, that was
it happens.
Game.
But it's
been very often with Carolina. Usually, once they get double digits, they lay down and die.
Yeah, they were what?
They showed after the game of Mike McDaniel walking back to the locker room just with this look of just absolute disgust on his face.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but he and the owner of the Dolphins got into a heated discussion privately after the game. Yes.
Wow. Well, no, I didn't
so, the owner was going to win, but the owner has a history of firing coaches. His name is Ross, and he's bad news. Yeah. And the bad owners, bad results. That's why none of this in the end matters, because Jimmy Haslam will always be there to fuck it up. But I will say this: Denzel Ward says this. Yeah, we were in cover 2, and I've got to reroute the guy inside and not make it so wide for the safety. So I take full accountability. On the play that can cost you the game, if you make that play, they kick the field goal, but you never know. The one game that you won, you blocked the field goal. You make them do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for God's sakes. But they excuse themselves because the coach excuses himself.
Yeah.
Now, people are asking me left and right about Shedeur Sanders, but I wanted to share Deion Sanders' story, which is really going downhill faster than you can imagine. He lost to TCU 35-21, but that is by far the least of his problems. He said Saturday he's hurting like crazy and believes he may have more blood clots in his leg. Now he should be on blood thinners. Why that would be the case, I do not know. And here's what he said.
Blood thinners.
He had he had to have his bladder removed and reconstructed earlier this year.
I
So
know, for
that's
cancer.
part of that's part of his the reason that I don't think that he is currently on blood thinners.
Okay, and that may be correct because this is
And
a
he was having to go through this entire regimen to get his reconstructed bladder to actually start functioning as a part of the urinary tract.
Why did they have to give him dialysis?
Only while he was in the hospital.
Wow, that's
After
serious,
that,
man.
they were it was basically like dialysis because they were draining his kidneys into a bag, and he had to do that like every couple of hours.
Well, I mean, you
He's
know,
in
his
serious.
he's
dying,
got major
basically.
problems. He goes, the cat's out of the bag, all right. I think I've got more blood clots, so that's what's going on.
Wow,
It don't make
that's
sense. I'm
too
hurting
bad.
like crazy. I'm not getting blood to my leg. That's why my leg is throbbing. Sorry to get that out, but thank you for noticing because he was sitting and not walking the sidelines.
Yeah, they
He's
gave him a director's chair to sit in.
58 years old. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's not good, man. That's
And he's had multiple surgeries on his feet.
well, that's
one foot.
the other thing. In the most of the fourth quarter, they said he was coaching with one shoe on his left foot and sat on a stool at times as well. He's only wearing one shoe.
Yeah, his legs would be swelling up because they're not draining. So yeah, he wouldn't be able to wear shoes for very long.
So, you know, Shador is the least of my concerns. I mean, Deion Sanders was a great football player and another example of what this
And a
game
pretty good
does to
baseball
people.
player.
Great baseball player by standards of football players. He and Bo Jackson, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
much better than Michael Jordan.
that's exactly right. But I can't express more profoundly. At 58 years of age, these are things that befall older people, and this again is what, unfortunately, what the game does to people. And it's
he's the same age as my brother.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Well, then you got fucking Commissioner Goodell sitting in London with the London flag football team trying to export NFL and football out to the rest of the world so everybody can get CTE and die young. You know, it's just kind of crazy.
Well, flag football's got a lot of rules against.
Yeah, I know
hard
that,
contact,
but they are trying to pimp tackle football. My a nurse friend I know, her son plays for the Plymouth Argyle football team as quarterback. So yeah, there is like a semi-pro, team here where I live. So they're
It's the only sport you can touch other guys and not get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, they went to the Dublin game. They saw the Steelers and the Vikings, my friend. But anyway.
And I wanted to do one other thing, which is, oh my God. Again, how do you handle a situation like this? I don't even know how in the world you deal with this. This is the play I referred to earlier in the
lets
program.
the ball drop out of his hand.
Just remarkable. Here we go.
To watch that
It
live.
happened again. I've got to play it at 0.25 speed for copyright reasons. But Amari DiMercato, here he is going to take the handoff from Jacoby Brissett, who's in for an injured Kyler Murray. And DiMercato is going to take this thing for what looks to be a 70-plus yard touchdown. I mean, he's off to the races inside the 40 and keeps taking this thing all the way. Everything is looking good, right?
Right.
He knows he's going to score. He's only got one guy to beat. And right there, he's going to drop the ball before he crosses the goal line. We got a much better look of it right here. I'll bring it in just 1 second.
Well, I got to tell you
Titans
this.
came back and won. God damn it.
Well,
Yeah, my mom was bouncing around in the lazy boy, all excited because the Cardinals were actually going to win at home, and
No.
then they pissed the fucking game away.
Yeah, that was.
Leon leaded the ball, and they ended up losing the fucking game.
Well, the best play
Deshaun
was
Jackson.
that pass where that got intercepted by the Cardinals, and then the dude falls over, fumbles the ball. They kick it into the end zone, and Tennessee falls
Tennessee
on it.
falls
That
on
was
the fucking ball.
hilarious. I
But
love that
after,
one.
but that happened after the DiMarcado thing.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
It was like,
That was like in the fourth
there's
quarter.
no chance for them to win now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess the way that I'm looking at this, a play like that, and everybody says, what a dummy, he dropped the ball. But he did two things wrong.
He didn't try. He didn't
eased
try all
up.
the way down.
Why? How many times have you also seen guys who are only looking ahead of them and they slow down and the ball gets knocked out of their hands from behind?
That's happened a lot.
Yep.
That
It had.
happened.
Why would you slow down?
Exactly.
So if you're a head coach and
It's
you
a
have a
lack of
player,
discipline, isn't it?
it's just a total arrogance. And one thing I can tell you, and I saw it again this weekend, Nick Chubb running for a touchdown.
Yep. He never did that.
Yep.
He
Never, ever.
would accelerate all the way through, and he would run through the end zone and curl around the end and hand the ball to the official or whatever. No malarkey, you know?
Absolutely none whatsoever.
and-
he handed the ball off to the ref like a grown man.
Yeah.
Instead of being a dickhead like these wankers.
I mean, it's
Well,
just hard for me to understand.
The other thing is, like, when they're running like that, I think they can see themselves up on the jumbotron or whatever
No,
that
he
is.
wasn't
So the key thing is,
he could not see the screen from the way he was looking.
oh really?
Yeah, I don't know the stadium, but yeah.
But slowing down, that makes
Slowing
no
down's
sense to me, though.
inexcusable. Yeah.
Well,
Could
be worse.
Go ahead.
Could be worse. He could be Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, what else going on with that? I can't even follow that.
Apparently, he was intoxicated, approached a
Really?
guy, got into some kind of verbal altercation. The guy stabbed him.
Okay.
He got sent to the hospital with the stab wound and was later arrested by Las Vegas police. I think.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
They're supposed to call the game.
Yeah, wouldn't he
and
be,
so he got arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and assault and something else.
He never was evasive as a quarterback either, and he could not avoid the knife.
Talk about the ultimate butt fumble.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Now, before I get out of here, there's better news around the corner as the Cleveland Cavaliers begin their preseason schedule, and that's tomorrow at 7:00. If you have access to Peacock, the network, this will start at 7 p.m. playing against Lonzo Ball's one of his former teams, the Chicago Bulls, and playing again on Thursday, October 9th at the Chicago Bulls at 8:00. And I don't know that there's going to be any TV on that. But if you want to see them on TV again, Sunday, October 12th, they'll be on ESPN at 7:00 on Sunday evening at Boston. So, we can change our focus from baseball to basketball, which is always a good trade with the Cavaliers.
Speaking of which, I guess LeBron's supposed to make some type of special announcement tomorrow at noon, calling it the second decision or whatever.
Something, you just learn to not pay attention to that person.
Correct.
He's the greatest basketball player who ever lived, but his judgment he is so enamored with himself and he's so narcissistic that he wants all the attention all the time. And that is not, and he has stated for the record that he handled that the wrong way, but he hasn't learned. If it gives him attention, he'll do it over and over and over again. And I don't care what he has to say.
Well, I think more than likely it's that this is his last season.
let's hope.
Unless he announces that he has bladder cancer, and then it's like, yay!
We're fans.
We don't have to watch him destroy the NBA for another 82 games.
We're fans, okay? And I remember what LeBron did for Cleveland, and I'm not negative about him. He is better than Michael Jordan. And the fact that Jordan played in a different era, had a better group of players around him with less competition to go up against, and a bunch of chokers in Utah, it all plays into that. But I don't need to have to keep hearing from this guy. Enough is enough.
I totally agree with that. The league now has so many better players than it did back in Jordan's day, and that's because of the international element.
Well,
of
and
it.
to me, he's always been a more improved version of Magic Johnson.
Well,
because he's a great passer. He doesn't. He's not quite the ball hog that Michael Jordan was, and
he does.
He makes sure that he elevates the play of his teammates.
And he doesn't have AIDS either.
That you know of. he could have some other STD. Who knows?
Man, I don't know why you guys are so harsh about this player. He gave you the only championship in your lifetime, man. That's pretty thankless.
I know, but some of the shit he's said since he's left, it's like, okay, I fuck you. I don't need to hear from you ever again.
I wasn't harsh. I just saw an open window and took it.
But again, I still watch with wonder the things that LeBron James did while he was in Cleveland. But I think the way he handled his departure was poor, and I think that coming back and getting the championship, wonderful stuff. But again, I've heard enough. I've heard enough.
That's what happens when you have your mates be your agent and your PR people. So there you go. I mean, I think that's a lot to do with it.
All right, you've gotten 17 minutes over.
And Coded, to answer your question, I'm pretty sure it's crotchless panties.
All right. Well, we'll remember that. And if there's one thing that you take away from this program, it's that. So thanks, everybody, for listening to what I have to say about this. I don't care about the Browns organization, about Jimmy Haslam's money. I don't care about whether I get called into the Hall of Fame on false pretenses because I wear a skirt. I don't care about that shit. I'm just going to tell you what I think, and then we'll see how it plays out. I believe this is Kevin Stefanski's last year, and I don't think that it's going to be Kevin Stefanski who decides it. It's going to be Jimmy Haslam who will excise him. That is my belief.
Can I ask you one favor?
Mm-hmm.
Don't show up in a wedding dress like Dennis Rodman.
Okay, I wouldn't do that. Honestly,
I think if there was a Hall of Fame for Cleveland sports podcasters,
I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it. I know I don't deserve it. I wouldn't accept it. That's the point. Do you know that they wanted me to be inducted into the Binghamton Broadcasters Hall of Fame in New York, upstate New York? I was there for 2.5 years. I mean, it's like there were people who spent their whole lives toiling and making that market a great place to live and work in. And I wasn't one of them. I was a guy who came in at the right time in the right place and was good at what I did. But geez, Owezo.
How many people can actually identify Binghamton on the map? I've been there. I know it's like just east of the Finger Lakes and Cornell and just south of there and near Cooperstown. So,
No, actually Binghamton is in the southern tier. And what it is, it's due east of Corning, Elmira.
Elmira, yeah, absolutely.
Due east of there.
Watkins Glen and all that.
Literally just above the Pennsylvania border and about 45 minutes north of Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I didn't realize it's that close to Scranton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Could they hear you in Scranton? Got a friend there.
No, our signal didn't get that far, and I tried not to go to Scranton too much in Wilkes-Barre because it smelled really bad. It smelled like Joe Biden's crotch.
It's like
so
Pittsburgh without the glamour.
See, I have a few in me too. All right, I got to get out of here. Seriously, it's got to spend the rest of my evening with my wife and enjoy ourselves. So, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you for letting me speak my piece. And comment on the show, please. I'd like your opinions as well. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.